You're okay. I don't mind waiting.
I appreciate it.
Bailey told us to look at this. What is this? Did you sign up? How much is it?
All right. Let's call this meeting to order. The time is 5:42. Whew. I'm going to take a minute and just catch a deep breath. Roll call. Mr. Bailey. Here. Mrs. Dean. Here. Ms. Martin. Here. Ms. Miller.
Here.
Mrs. Morris is absent. Mr. Osowski. And the chair is finally here. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As per usual, please place all cell phones on silent. And I do have some remarks this evening. I just need to pull up my notes. Give me 1 second. So I'll start by saying thank you for being patient with me tonight. And to say that I don't make remarks very often because I respect your time. And I know I like to get home soon, so for me to decide to make a somewhat lengthy statement is a big deal. So I'm going to start with, after much thought and deliberation since our last board meeting, I have decided that it is imperative that I address the comments made during the February board meeting by Trustee Bailey. During the last meeting, while the board was learning about and asking questions around the implementation of a new sex education curriculum, Mr. Bailey took it on upon himself to attempt to educate the board and the administrators on not only the legal requirements involved in such a program, but on the need to teach our students how to defend themselves against abuse. While I appreciate Mr. Bailey's concern for the welfare of our students, his methods and his choice of example leave something to be desired. Mr. Bailey chose to use the Larry Nassar case as an example. In his comments, he said, only one person was willing to come forward, but over 400 lined up for the money. Tonight, I need to set the record straight. First, Larry Nassar was charged with assaulting at least 265 known victims, many of whom were minors when the assault began, and some were as young as 6 years old. In my research, I found very easily several articles that indicated 156 women testified. Not one, but 156. So that's the first thing I'm going to correct, 156. Nowhere did I find a number greater than 265, and certainly not over 400. There are also several lawsuits that have been filed for compensation against the FBI, the United States Gymnastics Organization, and Michigan State University. I believe the FBI one is still pending settlement. To imply that these brave women came forward only for the money is the most insulting, archaic, barbaric load of crap I have heard in a long time. As I read some of the accounts of what the horrible man did to these young girls, I wept. As a woman, I cannot imagine being violated in that way and then ignored when I complained about it and told that I just didn't understand the difference. This is not the first time that Mr. Bailey has chosen to make disparaging remarks against women. Not so very long ago, he indicated to a female teacher in the district that the reason school districts like ours have a declining enrollment was because women like her were not staying at home and having babies. I hate to tell you this, Mr. Bailey, but this is the year 2024, not 1954. And women have been successfully having children, families, and careers for decades. Many of them are in this room. The reality is this. Young people are waiting to have families until they are stable and established in their careers. They're not doing it in their 20s like we did. Infertility is on the rise, and the stigma of choosing to remain childless is decreasing. Yes, birth rates are lower than they were, but that is just the nature of life. I say all these things to say this. I would be remiss if I did not speak not only as a woman, but as the president of this board. I must make it clear that the archaic, sexist opinions of Trustee Bailey are not the opinions of the Redford Union School Board, nor the Redford Union School District. Thank you. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda of the March 11th, 2024 regular meeting as presented? Moved by Ms. Miller. Is there support? Second. Seconded by Mr. Bailey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Call to the audience, public participation regarding agenda items.
There's one behind you, Judge.
Okay, so I'm going to hold this one because this is a non-agenda. Okay. All right. So hearing none, we will move on to presentations. Parent Advisory Committee update, Bethany Gomillion, District Representative, and Tamron Dillard, Executive Director of Student Services. Welcome. Good evening.
Right, I did get here early, sorry. There you go.
No worries. Thank you. All right. So this is an update from our last PAC meeting on February 8th. We had 3 presentations during the meeting. The first presentation was from Eugenia Thompson from Michigan Career and Technical Institute with programs that offer hands-on work-paid experience and work-based learning experience. And basically, the students just need to have an open vocational rehabilitation case open and a desire to learn. It's a program that helps students learn to advocate for themselves and their career or the career that they choose to go into. Students can also explore education and training after high school in community college, trade school, certification programs, etc. And the basis of the program is the question, what does success look like for our kids outside of, after high school with disabilities? And so this second presentation was from STEM Up, and I did not get that young lady's name, but it was a good presentation, and it's a program about job readiness for people with disabilities that offers training, coaching, and internships in STEM fields. And you must be able to complete training independently or with accommodations. And employment readiness skills and training and job interview strategies are offered with peer mentoring and support. Internships and apprenticeships with STEM companies are also available. And they also have partnerships with companies and with the arts and creative arts programs. And families should go through their schools to learn more about the programs or get their kids involved with the programs, because all school counselors should have this information and should be able to inform students and parents with students with disabilities. And the last presentation was the one I found the most interesting that I will probably use as a resource as well. The Michigan Alliance for Families, Capri Martinez was the presenter. And it's a great resource for families with students that have disabilities when you need support or any kind of information. I really like this program because they partner you with a regional, what they call a regional parent mentor. And the regional parent mentor provides any information that you need. So whatever questions you need to help your child be successful in education, or even after they graduate, they make sure they find the resources for you, and they guide parents through the process. And for you to be a regional parent mentor, to be employed with Michigan Alliance for Families, you must have a family member that has disabilities. So they can use personal experiences to assist other families. And the age range for these programs is from birth to 26 years old, which is great. And they also offer programs and information and everything for students that are homeschooled. So that was it. And it was good presentations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
In your last presentation,
Yes.
you had mentioned about some sort of thing Teresa was having to recognize persons in the community doing outstanding jobs for persons with disabilities.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever, is that over with?
That is, the last date for those submissions was February 8th. So that's all wrapped up. And that event is happening in April, and I want to say April 19th, but don't quote me on that, but it's definitely in April. And all the submissions have been entered.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Question.
Yes.
So how are you getting the information out that you learned at Rain Recent to the families in the district?
How am I?
Yes.
Well, I know that we are having an event at my child's school at Beach Elementary for parents and students with disabilities or special education students. So I know that's going to be an event where I can definitely give those resources.
And have you started contacting some other parents throughout the district to work on building a coalition within the district?
Not yet.
Okay.
And that's a great effort, but not yet.
And how many have you actually had any parents from the district reach out to you for support?
Not yet. Nope.
And do you have any business cards or contact information to pass out parents within the district?
Not pertaining to this. Of course, I have my own, but personal, but no, not pertaining to the PAC information.
And one of the main resources too that Michigan Alliance provide is also education and advocacy. I think that's really a huge point to reach out to inform parents about as well. So it sounds like we got a lot of work to still get done within just trying to build a coalition within the district to see how that, so parents can be informed
And I
of your
like
work.
that. Any suggestions, I would definitely take that feedback and recommendations for sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The chair. One other thing is, you said that you're going to make a presentation at the
Yes, sir.
beach.
Mm-hmm.
So what about, there's a problem before, my understanding is, the reason we came down to one elementary school is because there's a discrepancy between the different educational opportunities or resources or whatever between the individual elementary schools that we had before. So if you're gonna have something at Beach, would that include Dover?
The upcoming event that's at Beach is also advertised and promoted. It's the Parent University Program. It's been taking place alternating sessions between Beach and Hilbert.
Yes, I understand.
So it's already open to both schools. It's widely publicized to the parents at both schools.
Good,
So there's no difference
good job,
between the two elementaries.
good job.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate all that you do. All right. Next up, 2021 Capital Bond Projects Update, the Chrisman Company, Plant Marion, Real Point, and French and Associates. Welcome aboard, gentlemen. Come into my, and ladies.
I think we'll do the construction ones first.
Okay, I see a lot of packets here. I'm just giving you a hard time, you know.
There's a lot of information.
What are you going to do when I'm not president and I can't give you a hard time? You're going to miss it.
It's gonna be boring.
It is.
All right, yeah, we have a couple presentations here today related to a few additional projects that have been in the works, looking to get moving for this summer's construction. So the first package we have here today is for bid package 9. It is for the bus, or the beach bus loop. So we will run through a design recap. We'll go through, give you an overview of the project. Then we'll talk about the bid summary from the bid results that we received. With that, then we'll roll into the bond team recommendations and then any questions that you guys have. After today's meeting, the intent would be to put it together in a full recommendation package and to submit to you for approval at the next board meeting. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chuck with French to go through the design.
This one's relatively simple. Due to the other one not getting approved through Wayne County, we simply rerouted the bus loop through the existing parking lot. So we're putting in a more sturdy cross-section of asphalt and, you know, for the bus weight. And then we are connecting to that court. I can't, the dead-end court, I can't for the life of me think of the name of it. Does anybody happen to know the name of that court? We're connecting to that at the end of the parking lot, so that we can continue the buses through.
On the Pembroke side, that's the one I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember the name of the street.
Right here, yes.
Yeah, so across from David Ellis.
Yeah. And that's all that's happening here.
I think what we'll do is just, let's do questions after each presentation,
Okay, we can do that.
just to be safe. Let's go ahead and let's go through the bid, so the bid summary.
So next, just gives you a recap of the schedule, what we're looking for. So we received the bids from the subcontractors on February 28th. Conducted the post-bid interviews on March 1st, here presenting obviously on the 11th. We'll finalize after this the award recommendation, as I had mentioned earlier, submit it for board approval at the next board meeting, and then really move forward with issuing contracts, procuring the material, and looking to get started as soon as school's out over there, to break ground with construction and have it wrapped up before school starts. So substantial completion would happen on or before August 20th for use of the space, and then our final completion would be targeted for September 23rd, and that's just to wrap up any punch list items or documents that we'd need to, but the intent's to be done before school starts with the substantial amount of construction there. If we look at the bid summary then, we had one bid category for the work. It was bid category 6 for paving. We received 2 bids, one from Nagel Paving, one from Site Development. You can see the results there between the 2 firms. And then we also had 2 alternates that we had bid. Alternate C1, the base bid included the main drive down the center. If I flip back to the drawing, down the center of the parking lot is the main drive. That's the base bid, replacing basically the drive lane of the parking lot there for the buses. And then to the left and right, you can see the hashed mark areas. That is the alternate area. So alternate C1 was to do mill and pave over top of the existing. And then alternate C2 was to remove and replace the entire section of asphalt stone base for those areas. So based on that, after reviewing where we're at with the budget and talking with the team, the recommendation right now is to do the C1, the mill and pave over the existing base for the $54,500. And then if you look at a summary of that, so our budget overall for the project, $427,000. The base bid was $218,890. The recommended alternate there, C1, $54,000, and then the fees, allowances, bonds, and insurance for Chrisman for the work totals $340,000. So we're looking at $86,000 under budget right now with the recommendation as presented here today. So pretty straightforward project. Kind of went through it. If you have any questions on, scope, schedule, or the budget, we can go back through and answer any for you.
So is this one approved by Wayne County, or are we still?
We've got all the approvals we need, yes.
Okay, because, I was concerned about, since we rerouted it, I didn't want Wayne County to feel like we were trying to circumvent them. Do we anticipate any major disruption to our neighbors?
No.
Because, it's important that we be good neighbors,
Yeah.
right?
Obviously, there is by, what was it, Pembroke, there's a
Uh-huh.
process there, so we'll be conscious of that.
Yeah,
We'll
and-
tie into the cul-de-sac. But
Right.
We're mainly on the school property, in the back of the school.
And then
I
this,
don't anticipate anything.
this redesign helps, wasn't the past problem having to do with drainage? And so this redesign eliminates that?
It eliminates the issue having the drainage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Those are my questions. Are there any of the,
Chair,
Mr. Bailey?
how many buses per day are we having go through there? You know?
Like Melissa knows.
We have more special ed buses than district buses, so about 12.
You don't anticipate a problem, do you? Is that correct?
I trust that the process will run smoothly.
Thank you.
So, I'm always questioning the numbers because it's like, I just wanted to make sure that we already pre-approved this amount already, because we've been doing a lot of bids for beach. So I just wanted to make sure, like, was this like in some of those figures already, or is this something totally separate from the figures that we've already been voting on?
So this is part of the original bond program. There were dollars allocated for this work. So this is based on dollars that we had set aside specifically for this work. So we are within budget from those dollars that we had allocated
Okay.
for this work.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we're not spending money that we didn't plan on, but we do have, each package has to be approved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
We had intended to do this at the beginning of the bond, and we had some issues with getting approval because of where they were gonna put it, and so now
I remember that part.
Yeah, you
That's why
remember.
I was just
Yep.
like, I was just making
You're
sure.
like, okay, no, that's a good question. All right, any further questions with regards to the bus loop? All right, moving on to the next one.
All right, next package we have, bid package 10 is for the old schoolhouse interior renovation project. Again, the presentation include the same information. We'll do a design recap of the area. We'll overlook do a review of the schedule that we're looking at, a summary of the bids, the recommendation of the bond team, and then any questions or answers that you guys have. So looking at the design recap, again, turn it over to Chuck.
All right, so on this one, we are creating you already have 2 rooms in there. We're basically just repurposing those 2 rooms. In the historic classroom, we're trying to bring it back to its historic quality. So we are, we looked at the historic pictures, we put this, tried to get as close to the ceiling as possible, the floors as possible. We're not doing anything with the bathrooms over there. We're gonna refinish the bathrooms. In fact, we saw a model when we were over there, and the model has the original outhouses on each end. So, it really didn't even have bathrooms at one time.
Miles wanted
It's like, where's Miles?
Miles wanted to put those back in.
Yeah.
Talked them out.
So even as you walk into that atrium space, we're trying to bring that back as closely as possible as well. And then when you get into the boardroom, the blue area there, we're repurposing the bathroom so that you have an ADA accessible, 2 ADA accessible bathrooms, and then you have a new board room there.
So just looking through, there's a couple renderings here. You can see shots of looking at each side of the classrooms with the,
These are not exact of what's going to happen. It was as close as we could get, so please keep that in mind.
so this is a view of the historic classroom. And then looking from the front of the room across with the renovated space.
The meeting room.
The
yeah.
meeting room in the background. up close of the meeting room and then turn looking the other way. So just gives you some rendering, some ideas of what the finished product would look like in concept when it's done. If we look at the schedule update, for this project, we received bids on March 5th. Post-bid interviews had started on March 7th. We have another one yet tomorrow, so still going through that process. And then we will present here today, obviously, finalize the award recommendation for everything presented for board approval at the next meeting. From there, we'll issue contracts, get the material procurement going, and with a target in April to start construction out there with a completion of early July and wrap that one up by end of July with final completion. So a little bit quicker project, easier for access and stuff to get in there. So schedule's a little bit different from the others. And then as a bid summary, I'll turn it over to Chrisman here.
So for this project, we had 6 work categories, total of 13 bidders. Work category 1 for demolition, general trades, flooring, painting, mechanical and plumbing, and electrical. And right there, we have highlighted the low bidders or the ones that we post-bid and are recommending for our next board meeting.
Do you want to point out about shock?
Yeah, and then for work category 23, we actually did post-bid shock boilers. They are the $17,000 figure compared to Omega Floors. Omega Floors is highlighted. Going through that post-bid process, they indicated to us that they missed one of the addendums, the added scope. So that was an invalid bid when we were chatting with them. So we did talk to Omega Floors. They did include all the scope. So that's why we have that highlighted there, if you guys noticed the difference. And then moving on to bid alternates, we did have 2 alternates here. One was to install LVT flooring and wall base throughout the whole square footage of the schoolhouse. Our base bid was hardwood, so we have a credit there of $22,000 that they offered. And then we have an allowance item for the demising wall, the partition wall, for any structural supports once we get into that wall, and if it's deemed necessary to add additional structural support for that new folding wall in between the 2 rooms.
All right, so looking at the recommendation there, again, the total budget estimate for the project initially set up $784,000. Our base bid award is $533,806. We have a recommended allowance. This is for the steel, as Robert had mentioned. For the partition, again, we're replacing the partition, but with the age of the building and the documents that we had, we don't know what the supporting structure above it is. So we don't know if that partition will be able to be supported by the existing structure. So we put that allowance in there so we have the costs in case once we get into construction, if we do have to do some, we have the dollars there for it and we can address it at that point. So we carried it as an allowance. We didn't want to carry it as a hard bid because we don't know what we're going to get into. So you see the allowance there included in the cost, and then the CM GC's fees, allowances, bonds, and insurance costs for Chrisman, all totaling up $663,000. So right now we are looking at being under budget about $120,000 for that. And again, these are budget dollars allocated at the beginning of the bond program for that. So the funds are coming from that original allocation that we have.
Thank you.
So again, that summarizes the scope, schedule, and budget for it, and turn it over for any questions you guys may have.
So I'll ask the question that I always ask with this building, because it is a designated historical landmark. I've said this 100 times, right? We're making sure we're in compliance with that, because
We are doing absolutely everything we can.
funny about what they let us do to buildings
Yeah.
like that, right?
In fact, that's why we have the base bid at hardwood floor, because it was a hardwood floor at one time.
Right.
But we wanted to get the alternate to see what the difference would be between the LVT and the hardwood.
Yeah.
Our base bid being the hardwood, that's what we wanted.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because, you can't just change historical buildings without permission. They frown on that, so. And, yeah, I'm so pleased to see this work coming, to just see that building get the love that it needs and to be able to open it up to our community to use again. I'm so excited for that. It's been sitting there kind of empty and unloved for a really long time. Are there any further questions? Mr. Bailey?
How high is the ceiling for that?
It's,
This high?
No, it's taller than
it's-
this. Is it
it's
12?
pretty-
12 feet.
And so we've been in that building how long?
Redford?
You guys been in there for a year or so?
Not inside, no, we haven't been doing anything inside.
Am I seeing the windows being replaced?
Yeah, but that's all exterior work.
Is it?
Yeah,
So all this time, we don't have an idea of the structure?
no. It's all covered up. We would have had to have torn it apart to be able to see what was on top, what was in there. In
They don't have
fact,
an access?
what's that? No,
It wasn't built on?
no.
Into it? No? Thank you.
Any further questions? All right. Next one.
All right, third presentation we have here for you today is for the secondary campus furniture procurement. And we have Jessica with French here to help present this section as well, as she has really been leading the charge for the new furniture, working with the district for that. So, very similar presentation. We'll go through the design recap, walk through that. We'll show a schedule update, what we're looking for, and then questions and answers from there. So I'll turn it over to you, Jessica.
Okay, I'll talk as loud as I can for you guys. I'm just gonna stand so I can help orient you in the building as we kind of walk through it. But first I wanna preface by saying the finishes that you see on the presentation are not the actual materials and finishes that will be on the soft seating or on anything really. So I brought finishes. These are a just sort of sample set of finishes. It may not be the exact same ones that'll be on, but I just wanted to kind of preface that. And I will leave this here so that after the meeting, you can come take a look as you need to. So starting in this portion of the building here is the addition at the high school. It's the Main Street Corridor addition. So right here's the secure vestibule. We're looking to provide a walk-up security type desk for an SRO officer with an extra side table in there. The Redford Union logo will be on the front of that piece of furniture. We then have the main office, which is also part of the addition, on the high school side, and that will have very similar seating to what you see in this corner here, some soft seating, some wood chairs, a reception desk, and some storage. We're also providing furniture for the conference room. This is a conference room that seats 15 people with some storage. The chairs in there are actually going to be the same chairs that you folks are sitting on right now. The multi-purpose room, also part of, actually this is the pool that's getting infilled, just for location-wise. It'll be set up as a cafeteria. The capacity in here is about 323 students, and we're doing a variety of seating options, both rectangular, round, ADA, just kind of covering all the bases for that. If we flip to the next slide. So you can kind of see the different variety of seatings available. A couple of stools. This is mobile, so it can be moved throughout. These are actually all mobile on casters. And then, go back one more real quick.
Oh, back one more? Okay.
What you see in yellow on there, we're gonna do some branding. So just really, all the colors in there are the bright Redford Union colors, the gold and the blue. So we're gonna pop those colors on the tables and really make it like a fun space to be in. Now we have the early college. This is also part of the addition. It's north of the new gym that's going in. The yellow ones you see here are high top tables with metal legs and perforated legs. So we've got sort of a mix of high top and low top seating just to give a variety here. Again, the colors will probably be blue, or I guess yellow is your color, or gold is your color as well, so. And then outside of the classroom space, we have an early college collaboration space. And this just has a mix of soft seating, some different options. Let me hit to the next one real quick. So, small group work, to be able to sit and work at a screen, some tables to kind of hang out and lounge at, with some soft seating chairs as well. Again, just giving a real good mix and variety of different seating options. This is just a rendering of that space. Oh, I'm sorry. Nope. This is the CTE Flex space. So, is this the shop?
It's across from the auto shop.
Across from the auto shop. So this
To the
is
north.
just an extra flex space for those early college students with some, again, different types of flex seating.
Good?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
So you can
there
see
was
them here. So like step seating, booth type seating, tables, chairs, some more branding in there, just to, again, pump up that Redford Union color. And then we have the auto shop classroom itself. We've got butcher block tables going in there with the typical classroom chairs that have been used throughout the rest of the buildings during the renovation. Computer lab, which is in the room just south of the flex space. This room just has basic tables and chairs. The tables will have some cable management underneath them. So they'll all be put together. And then our typical classroom. So we have a variety of seating, again, options in these rooms. So very flexible is for layouts. So we have a couple of different shapes. We've got the diamond shape and then this half circle to make a full circle, or quarter circle, I should say. So these pieces are all going to be high top seating, and the rest are standard height seats. So lots of flexibility in both, in ways that you can arrange the room for small groups, large group. So that was the intent there. And then we have some special education rooms. These rooms are outfitted very similar to the rooms here at McGowan, in the Veritas classrooms here. So we've got 15 students slated for those rooms, along with a teacher's desk. And then the art classrooms, we have the butcher block tops in here as well, with the metal legs and a metal storage underneath it. Also providing all the stools in there. They're stackable metal legged stools. Those are also on casters. They can be easily pushed and moved around, lockable casters. And then the media center, we are doing lots of fun furniture. Again, mobile, flexible, move things around. Lots of variety of options here. Again, we've got the booth seating. We have these mobile book cases that can be rolled around. Have like a large group tiered seating in both of these spaces. Just sort of some fun lounge pieces to really kind of give it that elevated feel and kind of a college feel as well. So some really cool stuff in there. And then those are just some renderings of the space. And then this is right outside, or I guess right when you walk in the media center. This is that first section of it. We just kind of took the same pieces and pulled them out into that space, so it all feels like it is one large media center grouped together. And those are the same pieces. I ran through that a little bit quickly, but do you guys have any questions on this?
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, since we just went through a lot of information, if you guys want to ask any questions on the specific pieces, we can do that now if you'd like.
I love that furniture. It looks really very modern and sleek, but one of the things I was thinking in my head, especially with those early college classrooms, it really reminds me of what you would see in a student center on a college campus, right?
Yes.
So it's going to get them kind of working in that mindset, the way, kids gather to study together on college campuses. I can imagine, I can just remember walking through. It's so much better than when I was in college. We just had boring stuff. The fact that we were doing the high tops and stuff like that, because, some of us short girls can't do high tops, but, those young people can hop up there. It just reminds me a lot of what I saw at my son's university, so.
Yeah. Definitely, things are gearing more towards that, like, kind of coffee house feel.
Yeah.
Where it just encourages students, and even faculty to just want to stay and hang out and just be in the spaces.
I could see some math and science teachers having fun with those configurations. When I was looking at those pictures, I was like, this looks like, something you would see in biology. You could turn those into an experiment. So it looks really good. I'm super impressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there were pilot classrooms set up too. I don't know if everybody was aware or not, but there was a couple pilot classrooms set up to get feedback from the staff before we started finalizing the plan and stuff.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I commend you for the update.
Michael? Okay.
I commend you guys for the update. I really enjoyed the presentation, but I'm excited for our students to embrace this flexible seating, and I'm excited to see the end result. Good job.
I think I heard Mr. Bailey.
Chair.
Yes, Mr. Bailey.
So when you say media, the school's no longer gonna have bookshelves?
There are bookcases in there still, but we're adding these mobile bookcases as well.
So what other sort of media things are we having in there?
As far as like activities, or what do you mean?
What resource, so this is called a media room.
Mr. Bailey?
What resources are we gonna have?
Yeah, a lot of the media that the kids have access to is, in particular, their Chromebooks that they walk around with and have access to. So there will also be screens for presentations within that space and other things like that that will lend themselves to small group presentations. Even staff meetings will be held in there, and professional learning sessions that we hold throughout the district will be able to be held within that space in different sizes of groups. But a lot of the media these days comes through mobile devices that the kids have access to.
So are we gonna be having these on the walls, or just depend upon the individual?
It'll depend on the room and the space, but yes, there will be some screens within those walls. Some of them, they may be the touch screens similar to that. We have one touch screen in here, right over there, and that one is just a smart television. It's not a touch screen per se, but you can use your device to project what's on your screen and cast it onto a smart television. So that's really, I don't know, maybe Mr. Taylor could give you an idea, but when was the last time that students went into that space and checked out books?
I'm like, I have two alum, one which graduated in 2010, and he never checked one out.
So I understand it's, and that's one of the reasons why we're not referring to it as a library. Not to say that, I mean, I myself like to pick up books still from time to time and read a hardcover or softcover book, but that's not how today's kids engage in their learning most often. So that's why we're trying to reimagine these spaces. That's what we set out to do when we presented this bond proposal to our community. I think we specifically used the word reimagining the media centers within each of the buildings, and so that's kind of where this concept has arisen from.
Thank you.
I have a comment to make. I know none of you know who I am. It's my first Redford school board meeting.
We were kind of looking at you.
Okay. And I promised myself I wasn't going to get up and make an enemy of everybody at my first Redford school board meeting. But I find it deeply objectionable to listen to a bunch of adults giggling about how a child has not checked out the book in 12 years. Anything, as you well know, sir, put into a digital format can be changed behind the scenes by anybody who controls that format. A physical book cannot.
Okay, this is, with all due respect, this is not the time for public comment.
With all due respect, I don't appreciate adults laughing about the demise of physical books. It's great that you pick up a book. That's great. I can shelve my comments for later, but I'm not going to stand here.
Okay, thank you. Please do shelve them for later.
Nobody was giggling, but.
Excuse me.
Okay.
A bunch of people were giggling about it.
Okay.
It's not funny.
I'm gonna call for order.
Just call us workshop.
I will call for order, or I will call for resource.
It's that simple.
All right. I encourage you to please,
Comments will be fine.
yeah, please, I would encourage you, because we do value your opinion, but in the appropriate manner.
Understood.
Thank you.
I did have a question, I'm sorry,
Okay,
President.
go ahead.
A comment to you, sir, if you would like the comments, the blue sheets, if you already don't have one, it's outside, so you can definitely address at the end, towards the end. And then two, I wanted to know about the computer lab. Do we already have the computers for the lab, or is it being purchased through the bond?
We do have some computers that could be used in that lab already, but we are talking about the purchasing of some additional devices for that computer lab. In particular, we're looking at some iMacs that will be able to be used for some of the CTE offerings that we want to have and are working towards having in the future. Because if you're doing anything on the artistic or creative side, that iMac technology is highly recommended for those.
Thank you.
And then my question is, we don't see a price for the furniture? There's no, just give us the heart attack now. Oh.
Yep, we'll
Like,
get to that in one.
I was like,
You see her face, she was like, yeah.
yeah, there's no price, it's free, right?
Definitely not free. It is, we are within
Did I
budget
jump
right
ahead?
now. We are
Sorry.
still making some final tweaks. Just going through kind of the schedule here real quick, and then we'll circle back with that. But we did set up the pilot rooms back in early January, spent some time getting feedback on those, letting the staff and the students use them for a little bit. And then we really, January 10th, we really started the full design review to get to where we are here today to select those. We've had multiple meetings going through with the renditions. So we're at a point where, 99% of the way there right now, still finalizing. We got the last proposal, I believe, on Friday. So we're reviewing that right now to make final tweaks to you. Right now, we are under budget with what we had set up in the bond for the furniture budget. We had a specific amount of furniture for allocated at the start of the bond. I know you guys made a purchase a year or two ago. With the remaining funds we have there, we are under budget with that right now. That will be summarized in the award rec when we get there, but it's in the $1.2 million range for furniture, but it is under the budget that we have allocated right now, so.
Thank you. I guess if I had read the rest of the schedule, I would have realized you didn't have all the information.
Yeah, so we are putting that together as part of the final award recommendation. We're gonna meet again to make those last few tweaks. We'll put the package together. Even with that, we will, like with all the construction and stuff, we'll probably carry a small contingency to make those final tweaks. The intent is to get an order placed by April 1st. So over the course of the next few weeks, we'll get that budget approved for you guys. And then we'll be able to make that final approval for every piece that's there and be within that budget that we recommend as part of that package next week. With that, we get it ordered by April 1st. With the lead times that they're projecting right now, their target is to have the furniture delivered and ready by July 12th, so they can start installation on July 15th, with the hopes to have it installed, early August, get it all set up and ready for the staff and students to come back. So
I'm excited.
with that, I'll turn it over for any other questions that you guys may have.
All right, I think we're good. I'm excited.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
See,
That is it for
and
presentations.
We weren't even too hard on you tonight. Just wait, I'm coming for, no. You guys know. I think the world of you. All right. We'll give them a moment. We will move on to the 2023-2024 mid-year budget. Mike Beltink, Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you. If you notice, the first thing you notice is the format is a little different per the suggestion of our auditors, Raymond Group. They suggested rather than being, I want to say expense focus, this is more of a functional focus. So the instruction in the expenses, the instructions would be classroom and classroom adjacent costs. Support services would be things like social work, TCs, actually principals, vice principals, BICs, those types of support services. And as we talked about before, the mid-year budget is a fine-tuning of the original budget. None of the sources are generally new. It's just getting that actual fine-tuned allocation from the state at some point mid-summer. When we pull the original budget together, it's early to mid-June, and those numbers aren't quite settled yet. Same goes for the retirement functions as well. All right, so the main drivers here from previous year or the original budgets, if you look at the revenues, there are two main drivers there. For the local sources, the main driver between previous year and current year is going to be the Hilbert Tower buyout contract that was approved by the board in the previous year, which is approximately $750,000. That's what's driving the local sources. I did not put that into the budget for the original budget for 2024. At that time, there was no agreement. It was in concept only. State sources have went up now that the state budget's been set, the foundation allowance has been set. That's about a $1.6 million increase over the original budget. Federal sources, what's driving that is going to be your ESSER 3 closeout. That grant will close out on November 30th. I went ahead and pulled all of that in to the current year, which will have, we'll be pulling an additional $6.2 million for that grant to close it out as of June 30th or in that area. And then the difference between other from original grant, if you look at, it's just a mixture between local and other and the previous definitions that we had. So for the original budget, local revenues plus other is about 4.7 million. And we're at 5.4 for the mid-year budget. It's just shifting of other up into local resources. Not a major change there in the overall cost structure, or on the overall revenue structure. As far as expenses go, nothing surprising there. Again, putting a fine tooth. 85% of the budget goes to payroll and benefits. And the biggest chunk of that is unknown at the time of the original budget is the retirement percentage and what the state is going to charge us and reimburse us for. Some of those retirement costs, they increase, but they also give us an increase in state revenue. It's a bit strange, but that's how the state drives it. So overall, if you look at the revenues over or under expenses, we are sitting at $6.8 million over expenses, okay? So the 6.2 million of ESSER funds that we're picking up and the 750,000 from the tower lease gives us an additional 7 million in revenue. All right, we drop all of that down. So in the end, if you back those two out, we're about $200,000 below revenue. We would run it without those two revenue sources. We would run a $200,000 deficit, which at this point we could pick up $200,000 if we wanted to tighten our belt at the end. I left it there to see where we're going to end up at, but it's about as close to breaking even as you can get.
Hold on for a second. You said
Sure.
that we're at we may be at a 200,000 deficit?
Yes. If you back out the ESSER revenues and the tower revenues that are over and above the expenses, we would be at about a $200,000 deficit for the year, this year.
And so, what does that mean?
That means if we didn't have the ESSER fund, the extra ESSER funds, or if we didn't have the tower revenue, you would see a negative $200,000 there. Which at that point, if we didn't have those revenues, I would have pushed back on the expenses a little bit more. Some of the supplies, some of the facilities costs that we're looking to spend this year, and I would have pushed back on those.
I see. And
Yep.
so.
A $200,000 deficit is not anything from a budgeting and from a correction standpoint. We could easily make those corrections between now and then.
So it's not going to affect payroll and things like that?
Absolutely not, no. Okay, so if you want to move on to the special education center-based programs. So the center-based programs are our ASD, our day treatment program, and our deaf and hard of hearing program. The large of which is our day treatment program run out of our Keeler Elementary building. So this is the hardest one to judge. This is where you're going to see the major shift from the original budget to our mid-year budget as we firm those items up and we get further feedback from RISA as we adjust those numbers. We're sitting pretty close to what actuals were in 2023. The original budget was a little bit hard to come back and was a bit of a guess. But if you look at the mid-year and compare it to the actual 2023, things come pretty close to being in line, actually down slightly from 2024.
Question, what
Sure.
is community services?
So community services, in my mind, according to the state, those are the 300 functions. Those are things that we do at the school-based levels. Those are the parent universities, the outward-reaching functions, as they will. Like I said, parent universities. What are some of the other things you guys do? I'm sorry. Community services.
The parent fee increases.
Yeah.
Budgeted in the general budget, or?
Yeah. Well, they all go to the general budget, it's just where the funding comes from.
We do principals, we do,
Yeah.
pastries on your person, what your favorite is.
Yeah. And it could be, I believe McKinney Vintal fits into there too, our home, for our homeless students, some of our spend there.
So I noticed that it looks like we like right now we're at 138,000.
Correct.
A little bit over. And then, so is that also included for the special education? That's why it's not mentioned, or what's going on?
Correct, well, so we don't have that function in the, these are center-based programs only. So, back in the general fund, yes, that includes our own special ed classrooms, our resource rooms, as I would say. So when we look at the special education center programs, those are, like I said, a day treatment program where we get students from the other Western Wayne County communities. And that is funded through RESA, through Act 18.
Got it. So we are still providing community services. Are we providing community services out? So you're saying because we're busing over from other school districts, that's being considered as community services?
Yeah, we wouldn't have any community services there, because it's not really a community-based function. Whereas in the general fund, we have our general ed students and our local special ed students.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's why you see instruction and support services only for the special education center-based programs. The next one is pretty straightforward, it's the debt service. Really shouldn't be much changes here, other than a fine-tuning of the local sources, which is our tax base. As it firmed up, like I said, from June until now, we get those numbers directly from the township. And it's the difference between those two is the final numbers coming through. But everything else lines up solidly. And the difference in interest would be related to the 2023 bond that was just released. But yeah, once we release those and get everything fine-tuned, the interest and the debt payments do not change for the next 30 years. Okay. And if we're ready, we can move on to the final, which is food service. And again, not much change here as we go through. Difference will be, as you know, in the food service, we are trying to spend down our fund balance. I think there are some expenses in here that will firm up between now and June. That will be in the final budget as we try to get some of those capital costs. Some of those costs could be the cafeteria. We can charge cafeteria equipment as well as the new cafeteria seating. We can charge a percentage of that. The state will allow up to 80% of those, the tables and chairs, to be charged off to the food service.
I got a question.
No, we're 100% free and reduced, or 100% free, I believe.
Everybody in the state is.
All school district?
Yeah, I don't agree with
I
that.
think you read my mind, Mr. Beltink, about the furniture in the cafeteria, because, try as we might, we always look at this and say, how can we spin this down? How can we spin this down?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And
Yes.
it didn't used to be that, if I recall correctly, they did not used to allow us to use that money for furniture, because we had talked about replacing tables years ago. And our last CFO told us that we couldn't do that. So I'm pleased to hear that we can, because Lord knows we need to spend this down. Are there any further questions?
Jason, do you have a comment? You good? Yeah, so one of those things, we do now have a new backup generator at Keeler for the new equipment and the refrigerators and everything there for day
Since-
treatment.
Since the power goes out if we get a puff of wind.
Yeah, so now that we are storing food and have frozen and refrigerated goods there, we now do have a backup generator to protect
Awesome.
that.
To the chair,
Mr. Bailey?
that backup generator, is that just for the refrigerators or,
That is for the kitchen area only.
so the rest of the school would not be able to operate?
No, that goes back to what Mr. Beltink was saying. In order for us to be able to use food service funds to fund that particular generator, we had to limit its scope to what it powered. It couldn't power the entire building.
So none of our schools have that capability, right?
I don't think we have the ability to have a generator right now at any of our buildings in the event of a power outage. No, we do not.
That'd be a pretty big generator.
But we do have the ability to lose tens of thousands of dollars in food if we do. So we do have an obligation to protect that, so. All right,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Belting. Moving on, student representative communication. Alyssa?
Good morning, or afternoon, sorry. Afternoon.
Please not morning again.
I know. This month is Reading Month, and each day for the rest of the month is a new theme relating to Dr. Seuss books. So this upcoming Wednesday is Wear Green Day for green eggs and ham. And previously, we have had Twin Day for Twin 1 and 2, and Wear a Hat Day. I don't know what book that refers to, but it's a book from Dr. Seuss.
Cat in the Hat, but there's one
Is it
too
Cat in the
where
Hat?
he walks around with a bunch of hats on his head too. I can't remember. But,
Found
yeah.
it out. Student Council is hosting their March blood drive, which is the March 19th, 2024. As of today, we are officially 1 month out for SAT. And our school has started their SAT practice for every Tuesday and Thursday leading up to the official SAT that happens after school from 2:30 to 4, where each day is broken down into two sections where you are working on math and English. And spring sports have finally started. Some are starting with their tryouts, while others are continuing with their practices. These sports consist of baseball, softball, track and field, band, and tennis.
Very good.
All right, thank you.
Is there any questions?
Good job.
Yeah, there's a good amount of people. 40? 40?
Wow.
Wow, I didn't know that. But yeah, 40 students are participating in the SAT prep. Yeah.
Good job, Alyssa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Superintendent communication, staff members of the month. Mr. Witt.
So our staff members of the month that were nominated during the month of February for the month of March 2024. At Keeler in the administrative area, we have Terry Ariola, business office staff assistant, and pupil accountant, most importantly. Back center, we have Deborah Zivian, one of our DHH teacher consultants. At Beach Elementary, we have Dawn Townsend, a first grade teacher. At Hilbert Elementary School, we have Liz Chartier, sixth grade teacher. In our day treatment programs, also housed at Keeler, we have Stacy Carnell, EI elementary teacher. At Redford Union Junior High School, right across the street, we have Twilana Dixon, our Behavior Intervention Coordinator. And at Redford Union High School, also right across the street, we have Tamara Goria, one of our secretaries. So congratulations to those staff members of the month.
Good job. All right, I'm loving it.
Next up, we have our March 2024 Board Brag Book. This, again, entire brag book will be posted online and shared out for our community. Starting at Beach Elementary School, student and parent engagement opportunities at Beach. Session 4 of Parent University, as was mentioned earlier in the meeting. Session 4 was a session that was hosted at Hilbert in February. That session focused on helping families understand how not to flip their lid when issues arise. March Parent University session, which is going to be included in the calendar, is coming up later this week. And that session will be hosted at Beach this time and is focused on navigating educational supports. Also at Beach Elementary, in every one of our buildings, we celebrated Black History Month, but Beach wanted to highlight some of their activities there. There's some photos of some of their Black History Month activities. It also was the 100-day celebration, so there's some photos there from there. Are these links live? Where you want to, could you try out at least one of those links and we can take a look at Fox 2 News Visit on Valentine's Day?
This was so cute.
Aww.
I watched.
My favorite might be our kindergarten student making out with Prince Girl.
Telling Josh.
It was for his
It's volume. Probably unmute it. Unmute it. Push the unmute button.
It was so stinking cute. I think I liked the one who wanted the microphone. I'm like, that's a future news reporter right there.
but 2.5 to 4 years old in our preschool deaf and hard of hearing oral language program that we have here.
Wow, so incredible program. Tell me about that first.
Sure. So Redford Union has hosted this program for close to 70 years. We have students that start at 2.5 and go all the way up to 6th grade with us. Their goal is to really receive language, be able to then orally say things, be able to then go back to their home district. Our teachers, our staff who work with our students help with speech. They help with making sure they're academically where they need to be so that when they do go back to their home district, they can be successful and can be working right alongside with their able-bodied peers and hearing the best that they can and speaking the best that they can.
Incredible cause right there, Principal Nickel. And with it being Valentine's Day, that's another reason why we are here. How are these kids going to celebrate today?
Well, we celebrate love every day here. There's lots of hugs and snuggles in a preschool class. But today, this group, along with the other two classes, they're going to do some breakfast together. They're going to do some Valentine decorations. And I believe they're also going to help deliver some candy grams to the students in the rest of our building. Our goal is for all of the students at our school to be welcoming and embracing of all people, including students that look or seem different than them. And so we work really hard to incorporate all of our students in our oral language program and our students in our autism program into our gen ed classes as often as possible so they get to have those opportunities to interact and be part of the day-to-day life of our school.
All right. Well, Principal Nickel, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Mrs. Winter, thank you as well. Hey, all of you, last but not least, thank all of you as well. You guys are well behaved, a cute bunch of kids hanging out. I like his shirt right there. You can't see it, but it says, snacks are my love language. I like that shirt. Good stuff. Hey, you're never too young to learn how to celebrate Valentine's Day. Guys, back to you.
I love it. That was beautiful. That was.
I was
love
like
it.
gushing. I watched Channel 2 every morning, and I was like, Jason! I was like texting him.
Yeah, they did a good job.
So those links will be available online, obviously, when this presentation is posted, but kudos to that visit, and that was coordinated by our communications partner, Lambert, in conjunction with Mrs. Nickel.
Good job, Ms. Nichols. Good job.
Also, spending time in classrooms with students. The sixth grade students are practicing teaching their classmates about social studies topics they are learning. And the fifth grade students are intentionally working through setting up array problems in mathematics. So there's some photos there of that. Field trip fun. Students in the DHH program headed to the bowling alley. And there's a picture of Miss Nickel there joining them at that activity. Next up, we move on to Hilbert Elementary School. And one of the things they're highlighting this month from the month of February was their gym basketball Jones Assembly, which is always a favorite. And they had that assembly there for students in pre-K through second grade. Also an assembly then for third through sixth grade as well. And that one was focused on anti-bullying and kindness. And then there's some photos there of those assemblies. Both students and some staff taking part in those activities. As is the case, as we moved into March, we kicked off March's Reading Month. And there's been activities planned again at every building around March's Reading Month. Alicia spoke to some of the things that the high school's doing with regards to that, so that's across the board, K through 12. Some of the highlights there of the March is Reading Month activities, and some photos there from Hilbert. I was actually at Beach earlier today as a guest reader. So I hope before the end of the month to also have an opportunity to be a guest reader at Hilbert Elementary School. But that photo there of that, and there it is on the screen there, of they've set up the media centers as kind of little campsites, and they did this in the media center at Beach in a similar manner where I was at today. So it's a welcoming environment for guest readers that are coming in this month to read to different classrooms of our students. And I know some of the other administrators in here who aren't specifically tied to a specific building because they have district-wide responsibilities are going to be guest readers throughout the month of March at both Hilbert and Beach. PBIS celebrations, they also focus on the students' outstanding academic work and citizenship for the first semester. Students were treated to PBIS celebrations, including a dance party for lower elementary students, and the upper elementary students enjoyed a competition against some of their teachers and staff in a Kahoot trivia game. So there's some photos there of those events. Hilbert also wanted to highlight their Students of the Month going back to January 2024. So congratulations to our January Student of the Month winners at Hilbert Elementary who are listed there next to each of their teachers by grade level. And their photos are also included there on the next page. So I'm sure that will be a ongoing highlight as we go out through the rest of the year. as each month they celebrate those students of the month at Hilbert. Moving on now to Redford Union Junior High School. There's some photos there of the trip that was taken by our students to the Detroit Cruise game. I believe that's on the campus of Wayne State University. It's professional basketball, and they got to go enjoy that event. There's an upcoming field trip to the DIA this month. But again, some photos there of those different activities at the junior high school. Moving on to March is Reading Month, and the English language arts team there has pulled together a calendar of exciting, fun events, again, around the reading focus during the month of March. An upcoming Spirit Week, Read Across Redford Union Junior High Spirit Week, the week of March 18th, so next week. And the culminating activity on Friday is when students dress up as their favorite book characters. So look forward to seeing some photos from that event next month. There are also going to be prizes awarded to students and staff who are the best dressed on that day. And we're also doing some things in conjunction with the Redford Library to speak to students about getting a library card and the different programming that the library offers. There's some photos there, again, of the junior high school. Moving on to Redford Union High School. The high school concert choir and magical choral groups competed in the choral festival this past Saturday, and their accomplishments are listed there. Good scores by the concert choir, the madrigal choir, and the treble choir. Congratulations in particular to the treble choir with their 30 out of 30 score in intermediate unison sight reading. And that particular group of the choir has qualified for consideration for the All-State Festival later in May, as well as next year's State Music Conference. So kudos to our vocal music students.
Good job.
Also at Redford Union High School, this past week, that same vocal music group was able to be joined by Dr. Brandon Waddles and a handful of students from Wayne State University. And it looks like the plan is to make that a new tradition for the vocal music students at Redford Union High School. So kudos to all who were involved in making that happen. Moving on to Veritas, right here in this wing of this building, McGowan. The Veritas would like to thank Miss Prudence Rose, who is with Musk Careers, for coming to talk to our students about the building trades and apprenticeships that are available. And there's some pictures there of her visit to talk to our students about construction-related careers and apprenticeship opportunities that may exist for any of those students who are interested. And finally, the last two slides highlight successful seasons by both our boys varsity basketball program, finishing second in the league this season after a little bit of a run as conference champions. It's still quite an accomplishment in our league to finish right near the top. And they did make the district final, the district championship game before they lost to the Jalen Rose Academy. So both our varsity boys, JV boys basketball teams are pictured there. And then, honestly, kudos to our girls varsity basketball team. They made great strides under a new coach in her first year as the varsity coach of our program. She is an alum of Redford Union High School. I know she takes a lot of pride in the program she's starting to build over there. And our young ladies, I can tell you it was night and day watching their games. Last year, quite honestly, at times, it didn't look like every player fully understood the game of basketball. And this year, they increased to 11 wins under their new coach. They also, for the first time in 4 years, won a district game. So congratulations to all those young ladies and our new varsity head coach, Courtney Gagnon, and for her assistants who are involved in that program. And I do think that within a couple years, we will not only see both a varsity boys and a JV boys basketball team, but I believe with the success they're having and her efforts, she's going to grow the program where we get back to having both a varsity girls basketball team and also a JV girls basketball team. So kudos to both the boys varsity basketball and the girls varsity basketball team on successful seasons. And I don't want to miss, although they weren't included in this presentation, I know there was a lot of success by both our boys and girls wrestlers this past season. So kudos to our student athletes overall. And as was stated earlier, winter sports are now done and spring practices commence today for our spring sports. So we look forward to hearing about those in the coming months. And then lastly, we do have our calendar of events that you guys have all been provided a hard copy of. It highlights each building and the calendar of events from tomorrow through April 30th. And this document will also be posted online.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Witt. Great. It's just encouraging to hear about all these wonderful successes. I'm going to tell y'all, intermediate sight reading is tough. I'm just saying. I'm a choir mom and I was a choir kid, and that's hard. I'm just saying. I can't play basketball, but I can sight read. So and for a first-year teacher to have accomplished that, and then I read an amazing article about our girls' basketball coach and her love and commitment to our girls, and just how she's turning that program around by showing them discipline and love. So it's super, super exciting. All right, moving on. Where are we at? Oh, communications received by Board Secretary, Mrs. Dean. Okay, there are none. Chief Financial Officer's communications. All right, you already had your chance. Mr. Beltink. Wait.
Just one more thing. So this was our last minute addition. Compliments of Ms. Terry Areola reminding us of this. So we're going to ask you to vote later to open up our school of choice for the summer. At this point, for kindergarten only. I'm not sure whose idea this was, but it was a very good idea. As we do kindergarten roundup, because we typically don't open up school of choice till the summer. This will allow us to open up now, and as we get people into the buildings, we can sign them up immediately instead of saying, come back in a month, come back in 6 weeks. Jason, was this your idea?
Well, it was a really good one, so.
So are you going to take credit?
It was a group thing, just as we were having discussion, quite honestly. But I do think that this gives us an opportunity, and why we looked at making a short-term recommendation just for the kindergarten at this point, is there are a number of families right in the wing next door. We share the space with Wayne Metro Head Start, and they offer preschool programming. And a number of those families that come from outside Redford Township. So it gave us, as we discussed the idea, we talked about, looking, now that we have two different elementary schools, what can we do as far as kindergarten roundup, where we not only get the buildings involved, but we create a central registration opportunity at Keeler in the administration building, where families could also come. We can have a couple nights, and the plan is, if this is approved, over the next, some point here in March and April, and probably even May, we would offer some extended hours after the traditional workday has ended, where families could come in the evening, and just 1 or 2 times a month, and advertise those opportunities to families to come in, because maybe it's going to be easier for parents to get here in the evening to register their kindergartners. It also gives us an opportunity to work with Wayne Metro Head Start and maybe have a table set up a couple times when parents come here for pickup at the end of the day. For those parents who do live outside the Redford School District, Redford Union School boundaries, they would be able to tap into some of those families who have gotten used to bringing their students into our district for school. If we can tap into some of those families now whose students would be moving up into kindergarten, we want to take advantage of those opportunities. So that's where this recommendation came forward. We do expect that at least some other grade levels, we will offer schools of choice during our traditional summer window that we have, but we wanted to open up this window for kindergarteners as soon as possible so we can proceed with kindergarten roundup.
Terry did reach out to the state and verified that we can open up certain grades ahead of the others. So this was pre-cleared.
Question, will someone from the special education department be at the table as well? Because we know that Wayne Metro sometimes have children with IFSPs that may be looking to, or even IEPs at that point, that's looking into enrolling their kids into kindergarten.
We can make sure that we have resources for parents here to answer questions that we anticipate that they may have, including access to special education services.
All right. Moving on. Executive Director of Human Resources and Labor Relations Communications, Mrs. Nachman.
I don't have anything tonight. I just want to let the board know that we are moving into bargaining with the RUEA. We will begin on the 20th, so next Wednesday. So last year we bargained, and we bargained a one-year contract, so their contract is ready to expire, so we're getting ready to bargain with them. Once we get them underway and we have that sorted out, we will begin bargaining with our educational assistants and our building administrators. That's all I have.
Through the chair,
Mr. Bailey.
refresh my memory, are they all one-year contracts?
No, just depends on what we negotiate. Typically, it wouldn't be a 1 year. But we did last year just because there were some differences on the financial package, and until we saw a better picture and saw what was coming out, both sides agreed
Just
that.
the RUEA?
Just the RUEA.
The other ones have full length?
Yes, they're just expiring. So typically, you'd have at least a 2-year, hopefully a 3-year contract, but we'll just see what happens at the table.
Thank you.
Moving on, Executive Director of Curriculum and Technology Communications, Mrs. Crenshaw.
Good evening. So tonight you have in your packet an action item for a fiber line installation that would run from the secondary campus over to Keeler. Keeler is currently the only building in the district that does not have a fiber line that runs to it. So that would kind of bring us into equity with the rest of the buildings, give us a little more speed over that way and a little more reliability. The project would only go through if we are approved for the E-rate grant, which would pay for 90% of the cost. And then the other 10% has already been conditionally approved by the MDE. So essentially the package would cost us nothing. So we can have the new line run and at no cost to the district, which is a pretty good deal in my opinion. But we would only go forward if both of those are approved. If not, the contract would sit and wait until benefits the whole building, yep. And that's all I have
All right.
tonight.
Thank you, Mrs. Crenshaw. Where am I at? Okay, moving on. Consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Moved by Ms. Miller, seconded by Mr. Bailey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Everybody awake? I know this time change thing's getting to us, man. All right. Action items, special consideration, non-consent agenda action items. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education, at the recommendation of Kim Crenshaw, Executive Director of Curriculum and Technology, and Jason Witt, Superintendent, enter into a conditional contract with Western Telecom to install a new fiber line from the Redford Union Secondary Campus to Keeler School in the amount of $66,079. This project will only move forward if the district is approved for an E-rate reimbursement of 90% of the total project. The state of Michigan will reimburse the remaining 10% if our application is approved by the Universal Service Administration Corporation. Approval of both reimbursements would bring the total cost to the district to $0.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Osowski, seconded by Mrs. Martin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Mr. Bailey? Mrs. Dean? Mrs. Martin? Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski? The chair votes yes. Motion carries. Okay. Item number 2, unlimited school of choice for the 2024-2025 school year, kindergarten enrollment. Can I get a motion that the Board of Education hereby authorizes the superintendent, Jason Witt, or his designees, the authority to enroll an unlimited number of kindergarten students for the 2024-2025 school year, with such students being only those students who are eligible pursuant to both Section 105 and Section 105C of the State Aid Act and in accordance with all other relevant statutory provisions. Moved by Mr. Osowski, seconded by Ms. Miller. I got you at the same time. Is there any discussion? Thank goodness. I feel like we miss kindergarten enrollment every year because we do our open school of choice enrollment at the end of the summer and the kindergartners are all ready. So good job. Roll call. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Dean? Yes. Mrs. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Osowski? The chair votes yes. Motion carries. All right, there were no items removed from the consent agenda. All right, call to the audience, public participation regarding non-agenda items. I currently have 2. And I will give Jackie a moment. Okay. Okay, so before I call, I will kind of outline a few guidelines. First of all, we don't typically respond because we don't want to get into a back and forth. We ask that you make all comments in a respectful manner, and I will not hesitate to shut it down if it is not respectful, and that we limit to 3 minutes. Ms. Jones. And then when you come up, just state your name and for the record and what your purpose is.
Hi, my name is Mercy Jones, and I'm a third grade teacher at Hilbert.
She's a third grade teacher. She could. We're all going to be like.
I have a new job with the union, and it's called PAC Chair, and I'm here to extend an olive branch to each and every one of you because we want to have a back and forth conversation with the board, getting to know the board getting to know us. We're inviting you to come to our schools. March is reading month. I know that the superintendent is read, and we're inviting all of you to come out and participate. See the schools, walk through, hear our concerns, and just, I'm also doing activities where I will be inviting each and every one of you to come, a chill and chat, a night out at the bowling alley, different things like that. So we want to extend a welcome to you guys from the union to you and our teachers, of course, to get to know each other. That's what I want to say.
Thank you. Wow, I don't think we've ever had a union representative come and say we want you to come see us.
Things are changing.
Yes. Ms. Yilmaz, I believe she left. Okay, okay. I will make sure that, this, yeah, because that's about, all right. Anybody else? All right. Moving on, superintendent's remarks.
Nothing further this evening?
Okay. Board of Education communication and discussion. Oh, I love it when you,
Chair.
Mr. Bailey?
So I would like to, there are people in the community who are essentially essential to how things work, like the state senator, state rep. And I see that we've invited them to participate. And Ms. Polhutsky was reading to our kids, and Ms. Kavanaugh was came to an event, Women Tomorrow. So what I'd like to do is, in addition to those two folks, is also we have a representative of the Redford Library, Miss Betsy McCrae. She's currently working on a fundraiser for the Beach Elementary Library. And again, she's a representative for the district library, which is not just something that happens, but it's part of the writing within the organization of the library. So South Redford Schools has a representative, Redford Union has a representative. So what I'd like to do is make a motion that we invite these folks to come and present where we can meet them at the next school board meeting.
So you're wanting us to invite Betsy McCrae to the next school board meeting? Or just-
Betsy McCrae, Ms. Kavanaugh, Ms. Hudson.
Okay, we could, we can absolutely extend. I know Representative Kavanaugh comes, are you from her office? Yeah. She always comes in June to our, we would love to have her. She's awesome. She's, local girl.
She's contacted me about coming out for a school visit to see some of the construction and things like that that have been going on.
That's awesome. And she
So.
always honors our retirees in June. She's amazing. Yeah, I would gladly extend, or Mr. Witt can extend an invitation to Betsy and to any other local, state and local. All right. And, I'm just going to say, speaking of Betsy's event, Friends of the Beach Elementary Library Project fundraiser, she does this every year. It's usually a pretty nice event. She's got a silent auction, there's a cash bar, hors d'oeuvres. Yeah, so.
Do we pay there?
Yeah, you pay at the door, so you can just like show up at that and you'll pay at the door and then. Cash or check, yep. And I've gotten some pretty cool things from the auction before. And then I believe you also see that we are fortunate enough to host the State of the Township address. So that is next week, March 21st, and I believe Jackie needs to let us know her tonight, right? We need to tell her if we plan on attending, so I will just say I will be there. So mark me down. I feel like it's important to not only be visible at those events, but especially since we're hosting it. That is all I have. Is there any further communication or discussion?
Chair.
Mr. Bailey?
A letter was sent out in regards to something showing up on TV, Channel 2, Channel 4, about 10 Little Indians book or whatever. I didn't catch that on TV. What's the story around that?
I believe the reporter got the correct facts and has, we have not heard back from the reporter, so I'm going to assume that there is not going to be a news story regarding that.
So nothing showed up on TV?
No, there actually was a news story,
No.
and it was 2 days or 3 days almost after they said they were going to run the story. And they included the district's response that was sent out within that story. But And to be honest with you, there was much to do, there was very little to whatever that particular individual was seeking, and not much came of the story. I can try to find the link and send it out, so you can take a look.
No, I don't need it, I just wanted that as a summation, it was sort of left hanging. So, there's one other thing, and that's in response to Ms. Pridemore. There's two parts to that. One part you had mentioned about a comment that I made. It's actually part of a repertoire of jokes. It deals with.
So wait, you said a repertoire of jokes, so you think it's okay to joke about something like this?
So, Ms. Pridemore, I didn't interrupt you when you were doing this.
You're right, I
So, may
apologize.
present? So the point being is, it's part of a repertoire. It's more a political joke as dealing with immigration and dealing with why there's so few students. And it's an equal opportunity joke. If we don't have enough kids, then we're not doing our patriotic duty to pop out more. Same thing with immigration for people that complain about it. In order to fund Social Security and things of that nature, you need to have a population supporting it. We don't have it. Now, the other thing is in regards to the Sex Advisory Committee. I did present information where we're erring from the law. I thought that gave information, then they have corrected it. As far as a reference to Larry Nassar, there's actually two incidents, male, female. Larry Nassar and Mr. Anderson or Andrews at University of Michigan that dealt with male. The situation that I'm seeing, and another individual had said that too. I specifically said we can fix those situations. And I gave some numbers. And the numbers came out to almost at least 5% out of the numbers that were presented objected to it. I think we can fix that at our level where we can show that there's boundaries. I think the problem is because they're a doctor and they're an expert, therefore they can do that. Just like you had mentioned about lawyers, they're an expert, why contest what they say? There's a lot of things that we can do at our level and I'm not seeing it getting done. So as far as amounts of money and whatever, I'm not interested at all in that. I'm interested in fixing the problem, and from what I'm seeing, there is a way to fix it. And this is the level to do it, for those kids get out into the real world and other people are providing the rudder for them. A ship without a rudder goes anywhere. But if we can provide them with that rudder, then they have a course that they can chart. So I'm really sorry. I'm not sorry for what I said. I'm really sorry if I hurt you or this other teacher that thought it was sexually intended. It was more politically intended. Good.
I'm going to take a deep breath before I speak, because I want to speak with the dignity of my position. Do you even listen to yourself? Do you even think it is not appropriate for this board or a member of this board to make a political joke, to speak politically? We are nonpartisan. It is not appropriate for us to have made a comment like that. Popping out babies is our patriotic duty. Mr. Bailey, sometimes you just astound me, and I don't know if you heard the gasp in this room when you said that. I'm kind of speechless. Like I said in my statement, I value the fact that you want to protect our students. I absolutely agree that we need to protect our students and to teach our students when to say, that's not okay. That's not okay. And to walk away when it's not okay. I firmly believe that. I'm just amazed that you think it's okay to make sexist, inappropriate comments like that. And having said that, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's moved by Mr.
Osowski.
Osowski, seconded by Ms. Miller. All in favor say yes. Opposed, motion carries. The time is 7:31.